All right, Ryback rules at Extreme Rules, unless you're WWE, in which case you have
Uh,
him completely not win a match again. And this is
He didn't
where
lose either.
now, he didn't lose, but he didn't need to not lose. He needed to win a match.
They're
And
delaying the inevitable. They're feeding him to Cena. They're delaying the inevitable. Cena is going to win the next match. And which is, oh god, I'm not even going to speak its name.
what,
But
the
this
ambulance
was,
match?
yeah, oh god.
Who could forget that Kane Classic at Elimination Chamber 2012?
Uh,
Well, this match just bored me to fucking tears.
Really?
I did not like it at all.
Okay. Did everybody else hate it?
I
Uh,
didn't hate it.
I honestly I didn't see it. I was working that night, so I didn't see the pay-per-view. But I wouldn't have expected much anyway. I mean, I know John Cena can pull out a 3.5, 4 star. Not 4 star for one by. I would say he could pull off a 3 star matchup pretty
Uh,
well
uh,
with most people.
I'm
But
pretty sure it was at an Extreme Rules pay-per-view where he had a pretty good match. Well, I don't know how good I'll say, but it was very passable with Great Khali.
true. But given the stipulation, I wouldn't have expected much anyway.
I wasn't expecting much, and they blew my expectations. I loved the match from beginning to end. I even think the finish was good.
See,
I,
that's
I seem to be in the
that's-
minority for that.
that's where I
seem
have
be
to
in the
disagree
minority
with.
for that.
I understand. That's where I have to disagree with you. I hate no contest finishes in matches like this. I mean, a last man standing match is supposed to be a definitive end. You're supposed to have a winner. It's built to be, two guys are going to go in there, give it their all, and one guy is going to walk out the victor. And when they do a no contest on something like this, it's kind of like having a count out on a false count anywhere matchup. It just feels wrong.
See, I'm not a huge fan of draws, but at the same time, I think that it works every once in a while. The problem that I had with it is every single spot in this match that was supposed to seem big was so underwhelming to me. Like, oh, he busts them through the barricade. Well, we see that all the time now, so it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, he's got a chair and he hits him with in the back. Well, every time that they get a chair now, the other guy just stands there with his back to him and he just goes, "Oh, okay, only hit my back because that's the only thing allowed now in WWE." He pulls out this section of the barricade and because it's heavy, he just kind of like slowly runs it into Cena's face. Okay, well, like that it's underwhelming and all that. So then they have this big spot that they want to do at the end of it where they go through and as soon as they started brawling around that area, everybody that was watching the pay-per-view with me, we were all just going, oh my god, they're going to do that fucking shit again where they end up having like the sparks fly and it looks all stupid. So they go
I
through
wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe they'd fall off the stage or something like that.
we
I
were
wasn't expecting them to go through the lights at all.
we were definitely expecting a lighting situation
I
and
may say I was watching this match more not on a critical, cynical standpoint. I was watching it more of like just being the fan that doesn't know what's going to happen.
I
I
was
went in with
like
absolutely no expectations whatsoever.
I went in going, all right, well, how are they going to do it to where they screw Ryback again? And it's all just about John Cena. And now, credit, I'll admit, John Cena did not win the match, and I thought that he was. I thought it was a guarantee he was going to win it. But
We all did.
the only reason why he didn't win the match is because they figured out a way uh, outside of it to keep the title on him without him being declared the winner. But they
yeah,
do
but
this.
this is exactly what we were going to say before.
Well,
So
mine
I
is
did
Peyton.
say,
I do believe he said he was going to watch like the young child wrestling fan that's still within him and hold out.
Well, pretty much how you said
yeah.
you did watch it. I mean, that's the same way I went
Yes.
into it, and that's why I was that much more pleased with the finish that happened. I mean, at the least, it wasn't just a Super Cena victory. It was something where we could watch these two behemoths go at it, and it's like, oh shit,
And I
what's
thought the
gonna
spots
happen?
they did work, like going through the barricade. I like that spot in any match. Don't no matter how many times I see it. There's certain spots I like and they make sense. I
Well,
they
my
told their
issue
story rather well.
was-
To me, at this point, other than the 6-man at TLC, I think this is Ryback's best match in a one-on-one situation.
my issue was the fact that these two shouldn't have had this match so early. It was
That's fair.
This feud was just building. So
I don't think they intended to not have The Rock and CM Punk right now is something you got to take into consideration. If either of those were there, they probably would be in the slot that Ryback is in right now.
no, I understand that, and I understand that they don't have many choices in regards to this. I felt like in regards to Ryback's character, the whole 180 turn that he's done since is kind of left things in doubt. And when watching this match, I took all those things into consideration. I sat there and I thought, right, I'm just going to leave my head at the door and try and watch this as a fan. And a lot of it, I was trying to sit there and think, okay, he's got the hurt ankle. And once the finish happened, it was like an injured John Cena, a guy who's not at 100%, still manages to get out of this match with his title intact. It didn't make sense. It just felt like it was the finish was done because they had no other options left, because they booked themselves into a corner.
Well, they easily couldn't have, and could have had Cena attitude adjustment through the announce table and win.
I would have been
went that
happy
route.
if Ryback actually went over Cena and won the WWE Championship. I know it wasn't going to happen, but I would have been happier with that because it would have given at least an extension to the feud in some
It
sort
still
of
does, though, in a way.
See, what bothers me is they painted themselves into way too much of a corner.
Yeah.
You have Ryback was getting popular with the fans, and then you had him lose every single match, so then they don't care as much anymore. So then you keep having him lose, and now we're supposed to give a shit when he turns heel. Well, I don't right now, because especially if you're going to have him against John Cena, who just won the title, I have no ability to believe that Ryback's going to win.
And I'm not even a fan of the heel turn to begin with. I don't see the point of it.
No, I think Ryback should have won many, many pay-per-views ago to build back up and actually been somebody who is like their new Batista. But then when you build a match like this, you only have a couple outcomes. Either you completely feed Ryback to John Cena, which is like, boo. You have Ryback win the title, which is like, well, then why did we even do this whole John Cena wins the title from The Rock thing in the first place?
Wait a minute. Although, to be fair, though, Cena is in a situation, popularity-wise, and with his tenure, I don't mind seeing Cena play the transitional champion. I'm okay with that, because it really does nothing.
And if you really
bad
look
for him.
back at his last 3 title reigns, he's played that more often than not.
Yeah, but that's why I feel at the moment that they're not going to go that route, because I feel that they're going to try and milk this run a bit more. That's the whole reason The Rock passed the ball over to Cena.
Actually, no, I think the only reason he passed the ball over was because he got a win over him, so you let Cena get a win over tie it.
I think they were using it to give Cena a rub. Even though that didn't happen, they were using it to give him a rub from The Rock.
Yeah.
To be the next big company guy. But he already was, and he didn't need a rub because he's already established, so it didn't benefit
but this
shit.
I know this is from a creative aspect. This is what they're doing with the guy, and in order to, if they're going to take the title off him so early, they will end up, they believe, damaging any credibility that Cena had from that match with The Rock. So
I don't think so, because to me it reminds me of, you remember when Triple H came back in 2002 and they built up his title win. It was going to be this big dramatic thing, and
long reign from the game.
Yeah,
but it was lackluster. That was lackluster.
No. What happened was that he won the belt, and then Hogan started to catch on as a face. They turned him face, and they have Triple H drop the title to Hogan the following pay-per-view, and it really didn't do much damage to Triple H after that. I think this is a situation in Cena. I think they could probably do more with having Ryback win the title than with Cena holding it, and it doesn't.
I agree.
If Ryback wins, it doesn't damage Cena. Cena can go on. He can do something else.
Cena's untouchable at this point. He can lose, and he's not going to lose any credibility. In fact, he's just going to laugh it off the next night of Raw and be like, I'm entitled to a rematch. And then that's how it's going to continue.
I think, for me...
They can't think he'd look horrible and die
the
in
whole
terms
Ryback
of a career.
Thing, it would have been better if Ryback was built up to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, because that way, at least, he could have been tested and tried as a world champion without actually going for the WWE Championship. And the feud with Cena, it's not going to happen. There'll be no way in hell they're going to give Ryback the title now.
And see, this is what bothers me about it. Is the only other outcome is to do a draw and to just have another match which ends up with John Cena winning. And if it's this guaranteed kind of a thing, either way, you shouldn't have just stalled for the hell of it. And if you were going to stall, have a better stall than that. Because to me, that looked stupid. Every spot in the match I thought was very lackluster. So when they got to this point where it was like, oh, well, only one big move is going to knock them both out, I was like, well, it was retarded the way that he was like shooting them with the fire extinguisher, and he was doing like little tiny spurts, like, and I'm like, oh my God, why? That's kind of like if somebody was like just barely slapping you here and there, like, and of course Michael Cole says something the fucking stupidest line. He's trying to cool down the beast. Like, it's just ridiculous. So, they do that whole like, John Cena climbs up onto the little the railing, and he's about half a foot away from Ryback, and he jumps, and it's like, oh my God, John Cena jumped from like the bottom step of a fucking 2-story house, like. It's nothing.
That's kind of overemphasizing.
It's like jumping off of the bed and landing on the floor. Like it was everything was overemphasized. So then it comes to the spot with the lighting, and it looks like they go through cardboard, and there's these sparks that fly out, and they fly out from areas that they didn't even hit. And it's like, that must have knocked them all out. It's anarchy and all this other kind of crap. And it's just like, really, that's the way that you're gonna blow this off like that? And I thought that it was fucking hilarious because Dace's cable goes out right at that time period, and I'm like, what? Like somebody in the chat or in the comments or something, I can't remember who it was, so I apologize ahead of time. Somebody was like, maybe the Dace's cable went out because of the whole electrical spot, and I was like, that in itself, whoever made that comment was more entertaining than this entire match put together. It was stupid, and they're sitting there going, this is worse than some of the things that Mick Foley's been through. Bullshit. You mean to tell me Mick Foley gets thrown off of the fucking Hell in a Cell and he nearly dies multiple times, and you're like, these two tackled each other through cardboard and we set up a couple pyro spots that probably freaked Ryback out because he doesn't like the pyro apparently, and that's going to be like the big blow off to this, and then we're going to have an ambulance match which is basically going to be the same thing, and until John Cena hits the AA and puts Ryback in there.
I could see somebody enjoying this matchup if they don't know anything better. I think that's one of the big problems, is that we know that there are better last man standing matches out there. We know there are better, matches that you can have with this stipulation. As if I were a young fan of like maybe, the last 4 or 5 years of WWE and I saw this matchup, I'm sure I would have loved it. I'm sure I would have loved that light spot. But us guys, we're a lot older. We know that there are much better, much more brutal matches out there. That there's much more you could pull off within that.
Throw knives at me if you will. I believe this was the match of the night.
I actually kind of agree with you.
Because I went in with no expectations whatsoever, because I didn't think that Cena would get anything that good out of Ryback, and I was proven wrong. And every spot that you guys are being critical of, I thought worked in terms of the match. Like, I enjoy the spots that they did. I liked, going through the, the stage lighting. It's a bit of a cop-out, yeah, but that was way better than the ending that I predicted, which is just Ryback going through some sort of table and being counted out. I completely tuned off, cynical, being negative, whatever, and just watched as a fan. And I think when you do that, a lot of things end up turning out and being better than they probably should. Sure, but I would say this is probably the best match of the night, draw and all. I enjoyed this the most out of Extreme Rules.
The thing is,
to
now we have
go into a point, and Michael Cole takes a little bit of blame for doing this. You have to look at this match a little bit more objectively. Comparing this match to a match that happened in 1998 is really unfair when you're trying to go by as far as how brutal the match is. Compared to matches you generally see today, this was a fairly extreme matchup. You don't see spots of people going through stage equipment and explosions happening. Those don't happen all the time.
Last time I remember something like that was when Cena got chokeslammed onto a spotlight. Like,
Oh,
4
that
years
was
ago.
awesome too.
No, it was also a
is,
last
though,
man standing match, him against Edge. Yeah, I
you
like
have
that
a
finish.
situation where you have to go from where do we go from here. That's the whole problem.
But
They've
that's
given too
I don't
much-
100% think that way because I'm not the booker. Yeah,
I
I'm
know,
gonna watch everything
it's
unfold.
given too much too soon. And looking at where the promo's gone on Raw this week, it kind of draws attention away to that. It's just like, okay, it looks like they're going for an ambulance match. You can see why they've booked this, but it just doesn't seem.
And let's not forget that they're headed towards the cursed June pay-per-view slot, which, dare I say, always ends up being one hell of an awful show every year. Maybe this
Yeah,
year,
it loses-
being in Chicago might change that, but
No.
there has not been a good June pay-per-view.
Wait, wasn't Fatal 4-Way a June pay-per-view?
Yes, it was. I wasn't particularly a fan of it.
I thought
Capital
Fatal 4-Way was
Punishment?
awesome.
Was Capital Punishment?
I believe that was
June
too.
pay-per-view?
Yes, I wasn't particularly a fan of that either.
See, there's
Oh my gosh.
Over the Limit was a June pay-per-view as well.
Over the Limit was May. It was never June. The
Well,
only other one was No Way Out last year as well.
we only have one more match to talk about. In the next part, we're going to do steel cage match between Triple H and Brock Lesnar, which I didn't think was going to be the main event, but after seeing at the draw conclusion that they were going to have for that, made perfect sense. So we'll do that, and I will also talk about my little thing I set up ahead of time with the other matches that Brock Lesnar should have.